A very good afternoon to you. This is TV Sapienza transmitting on Star Times Channel 260. Today is Thursday, the 22nd of May 2025. My name is Joe Igbo. In our news headlines this afternoon, the federal government has announced a cash reward of 5 million naira for any individual who will provide credible information leading to the recapture of 7 inmates who recently escaped from the Medium Custodial Center in Ilesa, Osun State. The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, says plans are underway to conduct a mop-up examination for candidates who missed the 2025 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination, UTME. The Nigerian Education Loan Fund, NELFUND, has directed all tertiary institutions in the country to refund fees paid by students who applied and were verified before their loans were disbursed to them. And the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has handed over 753 units of houses recovered from a former governor of Central Bank of Nigeria to the Federal Ministry of Housing and Urban Development. Now, the details of the news. The federal government has announced a cash reward of 5 million naira for any individual who provides credible information leading to the recapture of 7 inmates who recently escaped from the Medium Custodial Center in Ilesa, Osun State. This is contained in a statement issued in Abuja by the Public Relations Officer of the Nigeria Correctional Service, NCOS, Deputy Controller of Corrections, Abubakar Umar. Umar urged members of the public to report any useful information regarding the whereabouts of the escapees to the nearest security agency. He also assured that all reports and identities will be handled with strict confidentiality. Members of the public can contact the NCOS Public Complaint Response Desk via complaint response desk at corrections.gov.ng. The Senate has raised alarm over the growing use of dangerous chemicals, particularly calcium carbide, by fruit vendors to artificially ripen fruits. The lawmakers described the use of hazardous substances for fruit ripening as a major public health threat to consumers across the country. As a major public health threat to consumers across the country, while calling for more investigation into the ugly practice. The move followed a motion sponsored by Senator Anthony Okorie-Ani, Ebonyi South, who called for urgent intervention from relevant regulatory agencies. The Senate subsequently resolved to mandate the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, and the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security to investigate the increasing prevalence of harmful practice. Senator Ani noted that the use of toxic chemicals for fruit ripening has led to serious health concerns, including cancer, kidney failure, and other life-threatening illnesses, warning that continued exposure could have widespread consequences for public health. The Senate proposed stiffer penalties for offenders to serve as a deterrent and safeguard the health of Nigerians. The motion is referred to the Senate Committee on Health and Agriculture for further legislative action. The Lagos state government has shut down 4 orphanages allegedly involved in illegal activities, including baby trafficking and unauthorized adoptions. This was revealed by the Commissioner for Youth and Social Development, Mobalaji Abubakar Ogunlende, during the annual ministerial press briefing held to mark Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu's 6th year in office. According to the Commissioner, the affected facilities include God's Time Orphanage in Igando, which was closed due to violations of the child rights law, improper registration and mismanagement. Lifetime Changer Orphanage in Festac Town was specifically shut down for its involvement in trafficking babies. Other unnamed organizations were also found to be conducting adoption procedures without following legal protocols. He urged orphanage operators to adhere strictly to the guidelines set by the ministry and encouraged them to approach the ministry for proper guidance in setting up and managing orphanages. Ogunlende said the Lagos state government is dedicated to raising children in safe and conducive environments where they can receive proper care and attention. The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, says plans are underway to conduct a mop-up examination for candidates who missed the 2025 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination UTME. JAMB Registrar Professor Issele-Uku made this known in Abuja at a meeting with key stakeholders to address challenges encountered during the exercise. Professor Oluede explained that this would afford the over 5% of candidates who were unable to sit for the examination for whatever reason the opportunity to do so. The JAMB registrar criticized those questioning the swift rescheduling of the exam for affected candidates, explaining the tight academic calendar that UTME candidates must adhere to. He said the reason is to give room for candidates who registered for WAEC, NECO, and NAPTEB examinations. Oluede said JAMB remains committed to resolving issues affecting the examination process. The Nigerian Education Loan Fund, or NELFUND, has directed all tertiary institutions in the country to refund fees paid by students who applied and were verified before their loans were remitted to them. NELFUND also called on the institutions not to bar any verified student under the loan scheme from academic activities, including examinations, due to non-payment of tuition. The managing director of NELFUND, Akintunde Sawyer, said universities, polytechnics, and other tertiary institutions needed to keep to the agreement they have with the agency to make the scheme work. He said that 597,337 students had registered for the loan, out of which 547,954 had successfully applied. Sawyer had earlier noted that NELFUND has disbursed about 54 billion naira to students and institutions who qualify for the loan. The NELFUND chief re-emphasized the importance of continued sensitization on campuses to boost students' participation in the scheme. The Lagos state government has penalized 580 nightclubs and restaurants for breaching indoor smoking regulations in 2024 as part of its aggressive drive to promote public health and enforce safety standards across the state. The Director General of the Lagos State Safety Commission, Mr. Lanre Mojola, disclosed this during the ongoing ministerial press briefing to mark the second year of the second term of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu's administration. He stated that the Commission visited a total of 2,024 public places last year, out of which 580 establishments were sanctioned for indoor smoking infractions. Mojola explained that while certain facilities like nightclubs may permit smoking, it must be restricted to designated areas. He warned that indiscriminate smoking in public spaces, such as buses, remains illegal and urged residents to report such acts promptly. The director said that public smoking is not allowed, adding that people are permitted to smoke only in designated areas within certain venues. He emphasized the need to sensitize the public on the risks of secondhand smoke, which he said could lead to cancer and other serious health conditions. The Delta State government has approved the construction of 1.2 kilometers of internal roads and 2.4 kilometers of covered drainage at the National Youth Service Corps, or NYSC, orientation camp in Issele-Uku and Ocha local government area of the state. The project is expected to be completed within 2 months, as most of the drainage work has already been done. Speaking after an inspection of the project, the State Commissioner for Works, Highways and Urban Roads, Mr. Ruben Izeze, said Governor Sheriff Oboroweri was deeply concerned about the poor condition of the internal roads at the camp and the impression it might create for corps members. Izeze said the construction work will cover areas where corps members are lodged, hold parades, and engage in leisure activities. The Senate has called for the immediate establishment of a military base in Hong local government area of Adamawa State, following a resurgence of Boko Haram attacks in the area and other parts of the northeast. The resolution came during plenary yesterday in a matter of urgent national importance after lawmakers debated a motion highlighting the rising insecurity in Hong and Gombe local government areas, where multiple coordinated attacks by Boko Haram insurgents have left dozens dead and thousands displaced. While lawmakers commended the efforts of the Nigerian Army and other security operatives, the Senate underscored the need to reinforce existing personnel with a permanent military base in Hong to better secure the area and prevent further escalation of violence. According to the sponsor of the motion, Senator Iya Abbas, 5 major attacks have occurred in Hong local government area since February this year. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has handed over 753 units of houses recovered from a former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, to the Federal Ministry of Housing and Urban Development. The EFCC had earlier uncovered the housing units at Plot 109, Cadastral Zone C09, Local Goma District, Abuja. The property, measuring 150,500 square meters and containing 753 units of duplexes and other apartments, was recovered based on a final forfeiture order granted by Justice Jude Onwe-Buzie of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT High Court, Abuja, on December 2, 2024. A statement by the head of media and publicity, Mr. Dele Oyewale, quoted the EFCC chairman as saying that those who have stolen our commonwealth should not be allowed to enjoy the proceeds of crime. He said the handover of the property signaled the government's seriousness to the fight against economic and financial crimes and other acts of corruption. The Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Ahmed Dangiwa, praised the EFCC for its sustained commitment to asset recovery and anti-corruption. To end the Sapiencia news at 1 p.m., a recap of the major headlines. The federal government has announced a cash reward of 5 million naira for any individual who provide credible information leading to the recapture of 7 inmates who recently escaped from the medium custodial center in Ilesa, Osun State. The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, says plans are underway to conduct a mop-up examination for candidates who missed the 2025 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination, UTME. And finally, the Nigerian Education Loan Fund, NELFUND, has directed all tertiary institutions in the country to refund fees paid by students who applied and were verified before their loans were remitted. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has handed over 753 units of houses from a former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria to the Federal Ministry of Housing and Urban Development. That was the Sapiencia TV news at 1 p.m. On behalf of the editorial and technical crew, I am Joe Igbo. Good afternoon